this. Every day you get up and go to school so that you can get your basic education. But the teachers don't teach and the students don't care. They are subjected to the mindless lulling of lectures on one-sided topics. Sadly, this can be observed in virtually every public school by the teachers, parents, and peers. I realize that what I'm saying is hugely unpopular in a school setting, but it needs to be addressed. The United States is ranked 14th in overall quality of education, and yet we spend the most money per student in the world. I believe that this is because of the lack of useful knowledge in the set of standards of the Common Core. This set of standards has many flaws, but to address the opposing point of view, the greatest argument for these standards are the standards themselves. The fact that all schools could have equal knowledge and understanding throughout the country. But who has deemed themselves so all-knowing to understand what the youth in this country should and shouldn't know? Well, only a politician could have that kind of ego. Some people can call the force of facts by government onto its people propaganda, but I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is, why is the federal government in what should be considered a local affair? Well, there's big money at the top. For example, the Race to the Top initiative was a grant given to states who adopted the Common Core. In the wake of the Great Recession, $4.3 billion for starved unfunded schools sounded like an offer that couldn't be passed up. With the federal government now having the high ground in the states, it is easy to impose any standards, no matter how flawed. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. These standards didn't just come into existence and were forced onto the American people. They, of course, went through rigorous testing and a whole legal process, right? Well, there's even examples of opposition from the creator of the Common Core. The Validation Committee, the very people in charge of giving this thing the green light, came under scrutiny by some of the leaders, Jim Sturgis and Sandra Stosky. Stosky said that they were expected to say that the standards were nationally benchmarked and followed all procedures and were appropriate. After discovering a report on the validation of standards, Stosky realized that the report stated that all but one member had signed on the standards, when in reality, 5 names were missing from their report. 6 out of 30 is a very large sum of people in academia who don't agree, which is odd seeing that they were under enormous political pressure to sign on. They also noted in the documentary, Building the Machine, that the whole process of the installation was hidden inside the stimulus package and away from public opinion. Yet most teachers, administrators, and parents hadn't heard about it until local school board meetings, where it was already too late. But those who did drink the Kool-Aid benefited generously. Jason Zimba, the lead author of the Common Core Standards, was raking in $700,000 for writing the standards, and now he's the president of the College Board. This leads me to my last example of our miscreant federal government and its loving relationship with the textbook companies. Many teachers can attest to this mutual agreement. Jody Cohen, a Brooklyn teacher, said in an interview, "They create some new system of books, and we, the students and teachers, have to learn all new things." But let's not just stop there. I mean, what's one opinion of one Brooklyn teacher anyway? Let's go straight to the source, the publishing company themselves. During a hidden camera interview done by Project Vertices, Daniel Barrow, a high-ranking accountant executive of the Houghton Mifflin publishing company, and has also worked for the Pearson Publishing Company, said, "It's all about money. Are you crazy? It's never been about the kids. Those new textbooks are no better than the old ones. In fact, the bar has been lowered for maximum profit." Then she expressed her unconditional love for children and the wellness, saying, "I hate kids." Later, she was fired for that leaked footage of what she had said. So why punish someone for speaking the truth? Unless you're trying to hide it. So, next time you look at your school's textbook, look at the publisher and know that your whole education is a Ponzi scheme for profit. Okay, so the start of the Common Core was a bit rocky, but that doesn't diminish the good that could have possibly caused. Actually, even though the creators of the Common Core say it was nationally benchmarked, no studies or test districts were cited. In addition to basic math in the early years, it focuses on higher order thinking, which is absurd because the children need a basis to ground their higher order thinking. While I'm not a math teacher, I still hear the complaints from higher grade math teachers saying that they do not teach the students the fundamentals of arithmetic anymore. But this leads me to my next point, the literature standards, which schools are advised in students' later years to read less literary works and more current event pieces of literature. They give examples in major news outlets, but on top of that, literature teachers are not trained to teach op-ed pieces, so most of the time it's left up to the teacher's personal political preference. I guess this does explain why some students know every liberal talking point, but can't tell you what caused the Great Depression, or what the Fourth Amendment stands for, or even who Mark Twain is. So what's the objective of all this madness? The objective, as displayed in the Common Core website, is to make students career and college ready, which is odd because I thought the point of education was to help us form our own opinions, and that career and college readiness isn't a goal, it's a mere outcome. But even the goal that they set haven't been met. We understand that not all students have the same learning capability. If the standards can make 100% of students career and college ready, then the bar for college and a job must be really low. Requirements for Common Core include all presidents of the public universities had to sign an agreement saying if students passed all the required courses and standardized tests, they shouldn't be put in remedial courses. But in reality, 60% of new college students need remedial courses. So naturally, the credit-bearing courses will have to drop to the level coming out of the K-12 system. The SAT and the ACT are having to make less rigorous tests to match what's coming out of the K-12 system. This is producing young adults that are not fit to compete in the global workforce. And while these standards aren't rigorous, they're just different. They're meant for an industrial type of education system. But we're not a product. You can't just throw more money at us. More of a bad product doesn't make it any better. If students had the same learning capability, then why, if we are all getting the same lessons, why aren't we getting the top scores? The school districts are being punished for not reining in certain students. Look, this isn't an argument of ideologues. Both sides of the aisle are fighting for control of our children's hearts and minds. How can we not unite over this? Democrat, Republican, how are we letting this happen? We are handing over our youth for what? A political viewpoint? Some votes? Some money? Power? This isn't a dividing issue. This is an issue over enlightenment. Do you have the right to your own conscience? Some of these students have never formed an original thought. Some have given up trying to learn. But to those who honestly value knowledge, it is up to you to take control of your own education. Question everything, research everything, and find the real truth. Because education is a movement from the darkness into the light, and it only takes one light to illuminate a room of darkness. Thanks. That'll